Good morning and welcome to Game Jams. The aim of this show is to discover and share music that might be locked away in video games. And the beauty of this show is that even though I am someone that likes video game music more than the average person, I'm still sometimes surprised with what I discover with this show. So if you're a fan of video game music, you might recognize that last tune as Lonely Rolling Star by Yoshihito Yano from Katamari Damacy. But the other thing you might notice is that that was an instrumental synthesized version of the song. And that comes from a game I just found out existed called Korogashi Puzzle Katamari Damacy. And the way I found that, I wouldn't even say it's a rabbit hole because it's kind of like I fell in a puddle and found a bunch of gems. So basically what happened was I played Pack Attack, which turns out has a brilliant soundtrack. And I was just thinking about it's like kind of a brilliant game too. Basically, the way Pack Attack works is it's kind of the same thing as Tetris, where you're trying to complete lines. But the difference is that there's Pac-Man pieces and Ghost pieces, and those can get in the way of you finishing lines. But the way you get rid of them is you drop a Pac-Man piece, and it will go through the ghosts and eat them, and that can drop other pieces in to fill the gap. So it's effectively, basically, you're making a Pac-Man maze in a way, and you want to line it up so that the ghosts are in a line so that the Pac-Man will walk through all of those ghosts. And I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. Like, that's so smart that they came up with that. Come to find out, I started watching a video of comparing the versions of Pack Attack because I wanted to find out which soundtrack was the best, because it's for PlayStation, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. And knowing my biases, it's surprising that I will say that the SNES version, to me, has the best soundtrack. But I digress. Basically, come to find out that Pack Attack is not an original game. It's actually a reskin of a game called Cosmo Gang the Puzzle. And it's funny because there was like a trend maybe back in the 90s where they would take these puzzle games, and for Western audiences, they would localize them to be a different property, maybe because they thought Western audiences wouldn't buy it because it was too Japanese or something. So I think my KNGI listeners, I'll bet my Pingus that they know exactly what game I'm talking about. But basically, they also just made a Katamari version of Pack Attack for some reason. I don't know why, but that's that. But anyway, I'm glad to have discovered that because Lonely Rolling Star is one of my favorite songs, like I said, played at the end of the second episode of Game Jams, and I'd love to hear that it wasn't chiptune, but that synthesized version I've never heard before was really cool. I'm just going to get back and play some Pack Attack. We're going to play a song called Puzzle Pit Fight, and then I'm going to play some stuff from that Cosmo Gang game, and then I was just referencing another game. I know the KNGI listeners might already know what I'm talking about, but we're going to play some songs from that. Enjoy Pack Attack soundtrack. I highly recommend listening to this whole thing, and especially the SNES version. Enjoy. Oh yeah, and that's stage 9 to 12 from Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which of course is the English localization of Puyo Puyo for the Sega Genesis, and before that was Sticker from Puyo Puyo, which if you play Mean Bean Machine, that is also they make a version of that for the exercise mode theme. It's a little different actually. I kind of should have played them. The exercise mode theme is the same composition as, well, not composition, it's the same composition as Sticker, but not the same arrangement, so it's a little bit different even though they're for the same console. And before that was the stage theme 2 from Kirby's Avalanche, which of course is the Puyo Puyo localization for Super Nintendo, because obviously they weren't going to have Sonic characters on a Nintendo system. Really interesting how they did that. I wonder why. And I've never played Kirby's Avalanche. I know it's Puyo Puyo based, but I don't know if it's exactly the same. I actually should check that out. It's interesting because Puyo Puyo is one of my favorites. And it's funny, a few months back, I called into DJ Level's show, the bonus stages, and we talked about electronic music influences on video game music, and that stage 9 to 12 is something that came up before we talked on air. That we didn't talk about this on air, but I did mention that song has like riffs directly lifted from the Kraftwerk song Home Computer. It's actually pretty funny. You instantly recognize it when you hear it. But if you listen to the song Home Computer by Kraftwerk, that parts of that song of the Stage 9 theme from Mean Bean Machine directly lifted from there. So we're just going to move on and keep playing some jams. I actually have a request from our very own Viper of Viper's VGM-cher. It's an arrangement of so this is from an arranged album celebrating the release of the Astro City Mini, which is a cabinet that plays a bunch of Sega games. Let me see, do I have it up? Yeah, so it's playing things like Alien Storm, Altered Beast, Bonanza Bros, Fantasy Zone, Virtua Fighter, Thunder Force. Yeah, there's like 37 games on it, 37 playable games. It's like a little mini desktop arcade cabinet going for $140 in the US. But I guess they made this tribute album or celebration album, and one of the other games on there is Radmobile, which I've never played, but it's a game, it's like a 3D racer from the 90s, or maybe it came out in 1990. And this is an arrangement, I don't know what the original song is, but all I can say is this is absolutely a banger. And so this is called Radmobile Mickey arranged version. So maybe it's a song called Mickey, I don't know. And this is by Koichi Namiki. So stay locked in the game jams. And oh, you know what? After that, we have some things from Project Justice and Ridge Racer 4. So enjoy. And that was Chrome Gadget Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, from the two-player mode in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I don't know who to credit that song specifically to. It's kind of funny. It's Sonic 2. We go from Sonic 2 and Sonic 1, where it's very clear who composed the music. I think it's just one person. And then we get to Sonic 3 that has all this brilliant music, and it's very... At least, maybe someone else can tell me, but to me, it's very unclear who composed what. I know there's a big sound team. There's a whole mess with Michael Jackson's involvement in it. But it's kind of sad that some of these compositions, we don't know actually who did them. And maybe I'm just uninformed. And it's especially crazy that, like, that song, Chrome Gadget Zone, it's from the two-player mode. And it's like, even people who are into Sonic might not be as familiar with that song. And I think it's a beautiful song. And all those two-player mode songs are amazing. And I wish I knew specifically who composed them, but maybe we can find that out another day. Before that was a track called Ziggy Amusement Park from Project Justice. That's the sequel to Rival Schools. And then Garage Talk from Ridge Racer 4. That's by Asuka Sakai. Yeah, so I want to talk about the game Cannon Spike for some reason. I don't have anything interesting or insightful to say. I just think it's such a weird thing that exists. It's this. If you don't know about Cannon Spike, it's a weird little crossover game with a bunch of Capcom characters, and it's an arcade style shooter, similar to like things like Smash TV. And you can play as Cammy and Charlie from Street Fighter, Arthur from Ghouls and Ghosts, but he drives in like a giant mech for some reason. Also, Baby Bonnie Hood from Darkstalkers and Mega Man is also in it, along with two original characters who are kind of based on other characters from old Capcom arcade games. There's Simone, who is she's a cyborg or whatever, and she's based on a character called Lin Kurosawa from the Alien vs. Predator arcade game. And then there's Shiba, who's like a skateboarding kid, and I guess he's based on some kid from Three Wonders, which... The only thing I know about Three Wonders is in Marvel vs. Capcom, there's an assist character that shoots like little arrows at people. But I guess there's like that's the first player character in that game, and the two-player character is Siwa. But anyway, whatever. It's just a weird game that like, it's like kind of fun, but it's like painfully mediocre and super short. So it's just like a footnote that isn't a factor. And I would think like, just by the nature of having all this crossover elements and being able to play as like Mega Man in this weird twin stick type shooter, and also Vega, well, let's call him Claw, one of the bosses from Street Fighter, is also kind of an enemy. He appears as this giant like monster that instead of having one claw has two, so it like kind of looks like Vega or Balrog depending on where you're from. And yeah, it's just like a weird, interesting thing, and I would think there'd be some kind of scene around it, but nothing. I just think it's an interesting game, and it's like moderately fun to play. I think a big problem is that it came out on the Dreamcast, and I think like if you tried to buy a game right now, it'd be like $250 for no reason, even though it's just a mediocre crap game. But I don't know. It's like, why doesn't Capcom re-release it or something? Like, why not? I don't know. It's just such an odd game, and I think it's kind of fun, but it does suck. Like, I don't recommend it, but I do like it, if that makes any sense. Yeah, just think it's a weird thing that exists. I would love to hear what people think about it. Yeah, so with that said, we're going to play some music from Cannon Spike, and then we have some stuff from Sega Rally Championship and Marvel vs. Capcom coming up after that. Yeah. You're listening to Game Jams, and that was just Suicide by Tyler Meyer, featuring Carlos Mata on the saxophone at the end there. And that's from My Familiar, which is a indie RPG, like a throwback to kind of the SNES era of RPGs. I highly, highly, highly recommend going on Steam and downloading the demo now. All the music is great like that. The gameplay, it's a very tight game. I think there's probably like maybe 2 hours of gameplay in it, and it's all really, really fantastic. I really recommend that game. And speaking of indies, I'm going to talk about a couple things that I've been playing lately. First off is a game called Thirsty Suitors. I haven't talked about this on air yet. I've been playing it for a little while. It's an interesting game where it's basically the premise of the game is you're this person, her name's Jala. She's returning to her hometown, and she clearly has like some like, I don't know, some things to work out. Basically, she'd just broken up with her partner, and she's moving back home, and she's on this mission to like now make up with all of the people that she's wronged in the past with her relationships. She's like grown up or whatever. But it's interesting because all of these conversations and everything plays out as turn-based RPG battles. And also there are mooks that like the random battles, we'll say, are all people sent by your grandmother to try to like be in an arranged marriage with. So Yeah, so it's like these conversations play out as RPG battles. You can do things like taunt people, like you flirt with them, and that throws them off guard, and that makes them weaker to certain attacks. There's items, whatever. Then also, there's another aspect of the game that is all there's like skateboarding, and you can do like skateboard challenges, and it plays more like Jet Set Radio than it does Tony Hawk, where it's like auto auto grinding and all things like that. So yeah, so it's a really interesting game. I'd say it's a little too easy, and I think it's kind of like a mashup a bunch of different games, but I think it's a good one to recommend to someone like if you don't have someone that's like not that into video games, it could be a good place to start because the story is kind of compelling. There's humor that I'm not really into, but I know someone would appreciate it. So I would definitely check out Thirsty Suitors to like be a game you ease someone into video games with. It's very Persona-ish. And then the other thing I've been playing is Garlic, which I mentioned last time. So we're just gonna play some music from those two. Yeah, and also I got something from Neon White. So this is Kicking Flips by Marksai from Thirsty Suitors. Enjoy. I have to confess to you, I lied. I didn't play the song from Neon White because I didn't realize that we basically are out of time. And I wanted to say goodbye before I played our last song. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. If you are in Brooklyn, I am hosting Motion Picture Pop Quiz at Nighthawk Cinema in Williamsburg. Go to motionpicturepopquiz.com for more information on that. I have Natalie Wall, who is a comedian, the host of a show called Awkward Sex in the City. She's filming her special the next day. So her first hour-long special, she's filming the next day. And then a poet named Zoe Branch. She roams around the city and types up poems for strangers, which is really cool. So they're going to be on the panel this week. It's going to be a fun time. So if you're in Brooklyn, come check that out. And yeah, I'll just leave you with one last song. We started with Katamari. We're going to end with Katamari. And this is a track called Katamari on the Funk, the Takashi Natasuka edit. And this is from an arrangement album. I actually don't know what it is. Or it's like in the PS Vita store or something. And this is associated with Touch My Katamari. Yeah, that's all I got. Have a nice day. Keep on rolling, the bigger the better. Time is running out. I got the bricks on my side. Here we go, Katamari. Keep on your toes and keep it real. Don't you ever give up. Take me higher, looking good. One more time, Katamari. Shake it, funk it. Are you ready? Sing along, everybody. Na 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 na. I feel
on the funk.